will know that I was going live. I forgot to do that. So we are restarting the live. I hope that you guys are doing well. And I know that I went a little bit later, live later than usual. So if you ever want some updates on when I'm going live, anything like that, make sure to check the Telegram group, because that's where I post most of my updates. And usually we do go live at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, but there's going to be some days where I'm a little bit later, and I will let you guys know if I ever need to go live later. And here we are. Hello, Aram, how are you? Rory, what is up? I just barely got back from my walk, and I was actually inspired today to talk about something in particular that I think a lot of us could really hear. So it's about healing and manifesting in our life. And let me make sure that I can see that. Yeah, okay. Okay, let me know if you're here, by the way. Just also so I can check the chat to make sure it's working. Okay, it looks like it's working. And so I can say hello to you. Hello, hello, hello. So yeah, I am live a little bit later today. Just got back from a walk, and I want to talk about healing versus manifesting. Because a lot of us think that we can only do one at the, only one at once, right? We're either healing and healing our inner child, or we're manifesting and we are starting to create a shift in our life. But these things actually go hand in hand, and we can do these things at once, actually. And the more that we heal, the more we expand our ability to receive. So what I refer to when I say healing is healing a lot of your triggers. And me. Yep, I definitely feel that. And what I mean by healing is like your triggers, your beliefs that come up, negative beliefs or like limiting thoughts, and just maybe the way you think about yourself, feel about yourself, how others treat you. All of that kind of goes in to the category of healing. And really what healing is, it's healing what has already taken place. So it's kind of attending to what has already taken place and releasing that. And then manifesting is bringing something in. So I don't know if you've heard of people say you should always be like learning something and then creating something. There's something you're taking in, right? Like learning, that's information you're taking in. And then when you're creative, you're releasing that energy. So there's a constant flow between something coming in and something going out, right? And I definitely agree with that as well. I think we should always be kind of learning something new or studying something and then finding a way to channel that energy and release that through something. So there should always be a flow, in some way. Look, we have 11 people watching and 1 like, 111. Look at us go. Hello, how are you doing? How are you doing? So good to see you guys. So that's kind of how healing and manifesting is. So when it comes to healing, it really doesn't have to be like, you don't have to dig up your entire childhood and look at everything wrong that has ever happened to you, and like, because that can be really heavy. And I mean, there are times for that, like when we're dealing with like our shadow, which is like everything that we have suppressed or denied or disowned, or maybe there's a part of us that we hide from the world. But an easy way to heal the past is to look at where you're at and what naturally comes up. So if something happened to you, when you were younger, but it's not much of a problem now, I wouldn't say that you need to, bring it all back up and relive that if you don't have to. But if it's a pattern that you've noticed that has replayed in your life in some way, and it's connected to a past experience from when you were younger, for example, then by dealing with what's coming up in the moment, you're healing the past directly. Hello, Daryl, how's it going? Salvador, nice to see you. Question, if you heal a lucid dream, wouldn't that help you manifest change? So yeah, that's why they're kind of connected. Healing in general doesn't just have to be through lucid dreaming, but healing impacts our ability to manifest within our life. And again, there's always a constant flow, right? So the more room we create in our energy, the more capacity we have to receive. But if our cup's full, then we're not even going to be able to recognize the abundance that comes in. So to make it easier for healing, for example, just look at how you're feeling in the moment. Yes, lucid dreaming can absolutely change your perception. Oh boy, can it. Absolutely. Yeah, it can definitely change your perception. To make it easier with healing, look at what's coming up in the moment. If you notice that you have a trigger that just comes up, say someone, hello William, how are you? I don't have a mug. I'm in my room. I do have a sparkling Perrier yerba mate. They literally partnered up with Perrier. Now I can have a yerba mate and a sparkling water at the same time. How cool is that? And then of course we've got a second sparkling water. We've got a blueberry pomegranate. I really like sparkling water, as you can tell. Okay, what was I saying? Okay, so for healing, the best way to heal yourself and to heal your inner child is to look at what comes up in the moment. What current I know, right? I know. I had to get every flavor today. I was like, what? Look at what comes up in the moment. So if you have, it's so good, dude. They have a pomegranate one and a tangerine one. They're really, really good. Just look at what comes up in the moment. Let's say that you go to work, right? Or you deal with a family or something, and you feel triggered. Something triggers you, and you feel upset. Instead of looking outside for what could have caused it, you want to identify what the disturbance is, because that will lead you to what you need to heal. So say someone triggers you, or you get jealous, or it could be any emotion. It could be any emotion. There's not any right or wrong emotion. Ask yourself what created this disturbance inside in particular, and just be honest with yourself. It's not like you have to share this with anybody, but ask yourself what caused the disturbance inside and why, and what that disturbance feels like in your body. So I'll give you an example. I'm sure you guys are familiar with imposter syndrome. This is definitely something that I have dealt with in my life, and especially when I first started my business, because we're like looking for models of people who do the same stuff that we do, you know, people that inspire us. And yes, I have 𝘿𝙬 always stocked. I have a whole dream supplement cabinet, actually. But what was I saying? Okay, so when it comes to healing something, when you get triggered, ask yourself what created the disturbance, right? And, oh yes, I remember what I was saying after that. So, imposter syndrome. This is something that I've dealt with when I first started my business a lot, because we look at people to model for what we want to get better at, right? If you're an artist, you'll probably look at artists that already have their business set up, or people that draw or paint in the way you want to learn to paint or draw. But then we start to maybe envy them or think that we're not good enough, and so a lot of unworthiness comes up, right? So you want to just, and it's not your fault, right? When you get triggered or when something comes up, it's because it's been a replaying pattern in your life. Maybe you felt unworthy as a child, or someone told you that it would be impossible to become an artist because there's no money in the industry or something like that, right? And so you see other people and it's like, well, they did it, but I'm not able to do it. Doesn't make sense, right? Because we see that they were able to create abundance through the thing that we want to invest in, but we don't think that we're good enough. So it's never something outside that we need to change. I think that's one thing that we need to learn with our feelings is it's never something outside. It is never something outside. It is how you are perceiving it. There's a disturbance going on inside that needs your attention. So if you feel unworthy, let's say that you felt envious or jealous of somebody, where is that unworthiness come from, and why do you feel that you're unworthy? I get so much imposter syndrome. Yeah, and I've definitely even gotten that with my art recently. A lot of the time before I start a painting, there's a few times where I have to push past because I believe that I can't finish this. This is too complex, or there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this. I don't have the skills or the knowledge or the tools or the right paints, you know. Our brain will always come up with a reason why we can't do it. But a lot of that isn't based on proof. Your brain will give you thoughts that are interpretations of facts. Let that sink in. Just because you have a thought does not mean it's true. that's how your brain is interpreting the situation. So say you're jealous of, again, someone's creative ability, for example, and it makes you feel unworthy. Why does that make you feel unworthy? They're showing you what's possible. And your unworthiness, or whatever emotion you feel, is just leading you to what you need to work through in order to feel liberated in that area. So just know that it's never the person that really needs to change, right? It's never the situation that really needs to change. It's how we perceive it. And let's say there's someone in your life that is an asshole. Let's just be honest. There's some people that we wish would change, right? But we can't change someone else, but we can change our boundaries with the person. We can change our expectations with the person, and we can change our perspective of where they are in their life to, that it's probably the reason why they're treating us this way, right? It's all a perception. But when it comes to healing, people think that you have to dive back into your childhood, you have to uncover every single painful memory that's ever happened to you, and you have to relive it, and you do not have to do that. Exactly. How you perceive things will change the situation, because things that bothered you once before will all of a sudden not seem like a big deal. So if you're wondering, how can I start my healing journey, look at your current triggers. That will always lead you to where you need to go. And look at your current triggers in life, because what's on the other side of that trigger is liberation. And again, ask yourself why. What is triggering you in particular? Because maybe it's just that you don't feel confident in your art ability and you need to practice more, or you need to find someone else who inspires you to create. It's not that you're not good enough. It's because your brain doesn't have the evidence that you are actually capable of doing it. And healing will allow us to manifest directly. So hopefully you can see me. Okay. So I'm going to take a sip of sparkling water. And if you guys have any questions about this as I'm talking about it, definitely let me know. But I think the thing that prevents us from wanting to heal is thinking that it's going to be painful. And the only reason we're in fear over things is because we're scared to feel an uncomfortable feeling. Think about it. Everything that you're scared to do, you're scared to feel something uncomfortable. You're scared to feel embarrassed. You're scared to feel vulnerable. You're scared to feel unworthy, or whatever it is. It's just a feeling. You're just nervous to feel a feeling. Like, we try to avoid uncomfortable feelings as much as we can, and we strive to feel good feelings. But what if you could just be present with every single feeling you feel and welcome it all in and let it pass through you? You wouldn't be scared of anything. Everything that you've been too nervous to go for, anything that you felt nervous or too scared to actually accomplish, all of a sudden you know it's just a feeling, right? And you can totally make space for it and allow it to be there. And this allows us to manifest more. But again, with your healing, you don't need to dive deep into your past. Just work with your triggers. What currently is bothering you? In the past 90 days, what are the 3 main emotions that you feel on a day-to-day basis, or just a consistent basis? Ask yourself. In the past 90 days, what are my 3 main feelings that I feel on a consistent basis? And you'll start to see patterns of feeling unworthy, or feeling not confident, or just feeling sad, right? And the more you can get conscious with how you're feeling, the more conscious you will be of what you're thinking that's creating those thoughts. And that's where the limiting beliefs are. So if you can ask yourself in the moment of a trigger, okay, what is this feeling that I'm feeling? Someone pissed you off, someone made you jealous or uncomfortable. Now, what am I telling myself about this situation that's creating this feeling? And all of a sudden you'll realize it's a thought that's creating that feeling, but that thought is just an interpretation of a fact or a situation. And we can change the way that we see things, which will change the feelings in the body. This is how we heal, honestly, is being aware of how you feel in the moment and nurturing yourself in a way that you didn't feel nurtured when you were younger. This is inner child work. You don't, again, like if there's a really traumatic situation that you've been avoiding from your childhood, then maybe you'd want to revisit that situation, allow yourself to fully feel and process the feelings and allow them to pass through you without trying to push them down. Because for a lot of childhood trauma, we didn't have the capacity to express our emotions, and so we pretty much set those to a folder in our body to save for later. And now we have to process this stuff as an adult because, again, we didn't have the capacity to fully express that in a safe space when we were younger. So really, what inner child work, what healing is holding space for yourself and nurturing yourself in a way that you did not get when you were younger. And again, dealing with how you feel in the moment is directly dealing with your inner child's emotions, because your inner child is always present within you, and if you get triggered, that's your inner child getting triggered. And before, maybe you were told, oh, stop being a baby, or I'll give you something to cry about, or like for me, anytime I'd have an anxiety attack or get upset because I grew up in a really traumatic, chaotic household, anytime I'd have anxiety, my parents would call the cops on me, and they would come take me away. And so I was taught that if I even dare feel anxious or have a spontaneous panic attack, that puts me in danger. So I was taught that my feelings are something to suppress. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so now, guess what pattern I have created as an adult? Suppressing my emotions. I don't have time for that right now. That's going to be too big of a deal, and I would just push them down. So by handling your emotions in a more healthy, graceful way now, as you feel them now, is directly healing your child. You really just want to see yourself now as your younger self. And when you feel triggered or when you feel unworthy, see it as your little self feeling triggered or unworthy. If you saw a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old saying that they didn't feel worthy of love, or that they're not good enough, or that they're ugly, or that they're dumb, how would you treat that child? You'd be probably extremely reassuring, you'd probably be extremely gentle, and you'd probably say something that's true about themselves that makes them feel good. You would recognize their gifts, their talents, and you would speak that to them. You want to do that to yourself. That's the key. You want to see yourself as you're moving something heavy, as your inner child. How would you treat a child that's going through what you're going through right now? And a huge thing for me was feeling seen, like celebrated for when I do something good, because when I was younger, I didn't feel like I was seen, like when I made art or when I did something, I didn't feel like I was really seen in the way that I wish I was seen when I was younger. So now when I do something, I pat myself in the back, I say, good job, Haylee girl, you did really, really good, I'm really proud of you, and I'll say it out loud. After I do a awesome live or a cool class that I'm really proud of, or I talk to a new client and like we just hit so many points and like their mind was blown, it makes me feel so good that I'm able to help someone in that way. And so I make sure to congratulate myself after the call. Good job, Haylee girl. You're doing really, really good. I'm really, really proud of you. And when we do that to ourselves, it actually impacts our brain in the same way as someone else congratulating us. Again, just like your brain, how it can't tell the difference between something you're imagining, something you're thinking about, or something you're dreaming about. It's the same way when you congratulate yourself. It affects your brain in the same way as if someone else was congratulating you. So ask yourself this really fast. And if you would like to share, you can. Know this is a very safe, loving space. You are always being supported. You will always be celebrated for wherever you're at. But what is one thing, if you guys feel open to sharing, what is one thing that you did not receive as a child that you really felt that you needed? It could be like an emotional connection with a caregiver or a parent. It could be love. It could be like open communication. It could be celebration. For me, I didn't feel safe, like physically safe. That was another one that seemed to be super prominent. And so now, as an adult, to heal that, I have to make myself feel as safe as possible in all situations. And that's my job, to kind of figure out what makes me feel the safest. Do you see what I'm saying? So look at the biggest things that you felt you lacked as a child, and now to heal your inner child, giving yourself that back as an adult is how we can heal. So I didn't have my emotions and anxiety taken seriously. Same. Yeah, because, and my mom even said that she's never had a panic attack, so she didn't understand. Like, we talked about it like years later. But in the moment, like when I would have these really intrusive thoughts and I would feel anxious, I would get the cops called on me. And I would need to go take a breath of fresh air outside, and my stepdad and my mom would be blocking the doors and like kind of pushing me to get me away from the doors, and they would keep me from going outside and getting fresh air, and they would just keep like pushing me in a corner, really. And I would feel so anxious. I need to take a breath. I'm having a panic attack, and I didn't feel safe. And of course, if I expressed my emotions, I was going to get the cops called on me. So I literally was taught that you are not in charge of where you go when you need to take a breath, when you need to relax, and it is not safe to express your emotions because the cops are going to come get you. And of course, that also caused me to develop a fear of police officers when I was growing up, and I had to get over that. But do you see how just the littlest things, and maybe it's not little, from when you were a child, it affects how you process emotions and how you deal with yourself as an adult. So what inner child work is really just reparenting yourself. If you were your own parent, what would you do differently? How would you treat yourself in a way that you didn't necessarily receive when you were younger? That's really all it is. And I think that inner child work and all this seems like so scary and big, so like people don't want to dive into it, but you just have to look at what are your current triggers, right? What are the main emotions you feel? What are the things that trigger you consistently now as an adult? And what do you feel you didn't receive that you felt like you needed as a child? And how can you give that back to yourself now as an adult? For me, again, it's safety. I want to feel safe to play, to create, to express my emotions. And so I have really made an effort to make myself feel safer, and also to congratulate myself for like my wins and everything that I've been able to accomplish. And that is inner child work. I'm doing inner child work by caring for myself in the now. So that's super, super powerful. So if you're interested in doing healing work, do it in the moment. Notice what comes up, and all it really takes is awareness of how you're feeling. Let's say you reconnect with an old friend or whatever, and all of a sudden you feel disturbance, right? You feel some sort of, is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it jealousy? Is it like guilt? Like, what is it? You want to notice the disturbance inside. You want to fully be present with it, and you can ask it questions. What is this that I'm feeling? So you can like name the feeling. And again, like if you guys look up feelings wheel or emotions wheel on Google, you'll see a whole wheel of emotions, and it makes it way easier to like identify the emotion you're feeling, because it's not just like happy, sad, mad. It's like really in depth emotions in different categories. And if we can get really good at naming the specific emotion that we feel in our body, we'll be able to deal with it a lot easier and actually heal it and allow it to pass through us. But if it's just something super vague, like, oh, happy, I'm sad, I'm mad, it's going to be hard to figure out where that's coming from. There's so many more emotions than just those. So pulling up, just type in emotions wheel or feelings wheel on Google Images and name your emotion. Try to locate it in your body. So do a body scan after you name your emotion. Work your way down. So let's say that I'm working with anxiety. So I find it on the wheel, and maybe it is anxiety, maybe it's resentment, maybe it's anger, whatever. I identify the exact feeling that I'm feeling. I walk myself through my body. So where is anxiety? What are the effects of anxiety in my body? Well, my jaw feels a little bit tighter, my chest feels a little bit more sunken in, and my stomach. My stomach is where I hold my anxiety, and I can feel that. So you're gonna find the location it is in your body. Okay, so it's my stomach. That's where I can feel the most anxiety. What color is this emotion? For me, it's like a red-ish. Is it hard or soft? It's a hard emotion for me anyways. Does it move or is it stationary? Well, Yeah, I'd say it's pretty stationary. The anxiety will sit in my chest and my stomach. And then what does it have to tell me? What is it trying to tell me? And now all of a sudden you've taken this disturbance of just like feeling uncomfortable, and you've been able to identify the color, the name, the sensations, the placement it has on your body, and the message that it has for you. And now you've created so much intelligence around how you're feeling in your body. And now next time it comes up, you're going to be able to recognize when you're anxious before you fully feel anxious, because you've recognized the little changes that it makes within your body. After you've totally, named all the qualities and you've taken time to really get the message from the anxiety, you're just going to totally surrender to it. You're going to allow it to completely take over your body. You're going to step back and stop trying to push it away, and you're going to open your heart. And you're going to notice that the feeling will pass through. And this is how we can prevent stuck emotions in our body. Again, when we were little, we didn't have the safe space. Hello, Lucid, how are you? We didn't have the safe space to feel our emotions. So now as an adult, if you want to heal your inner child, get really good at feeling your emotions. And this is my favorite technique. I use this for my clients, and I think it's really, really, really powerful. And if you guys read The Untethered Soul, which I've been telling every person about this book that I can, like, if I could have every person on planet Earth read one book, it would be The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Every single word of that book will change your life. And if you read it, please let me know so I can geek out with you. But there's a technique in that book called Relax and Release. And it is about fully feeling a feeling. And again, this is a way to prevent any feelings from getting stuck in your body. Because, for example, if you feel, oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that book. If you feel feelings as they come, like, for example, let's say that you have tons of anxiety and you've been so used to pushing it down because it's never a good time to feel anxious. Maybe I'm around people, or I have a commitment in an hour and I can't feel anxious. You're so used to suppressing it that now you're going to have random panic attacks, because this anxiety that you've suppressed is now stored in the body, and now it doesn't need your permission to just come out. So now you'll just have like spurts of anxiety for no reason, when it's really stemming from that feeling being suppressed in the body. So if you can get comfortable with uncomfortable emotions, there's nothing that can stop you in life. Because again, we're either striving for a feel-good feeling or we're trying to avoid a negative feeling, right? That's all that there is. We do things to feel good and accomplished or abundant, or we try to stay away from things that don't make us feel good. But what if you welcomed all of them and fully felt all of them and actually walked yourself through this process? You would be able to release emotions. You'd feel less anxious in certain situations. You'd feel more confident in certain situations. And you'd intuitively be able to feel what emotion is coming up before it fully comes up. So you're really getting to know your body and how it works. And this is something that has really been powerful to me, because now, when I feel uncomfortable or I feel angry, it's not like I get super like upset about it, or why am I feeling this way? I have no reason to feel this way. If you're saying that to yourself, there's a chance that you used to be told that as a kid. Why are you feeling this way? You have no reason to be mad. A lot of adults, when we were younger, they're like, you're too young to be angry. What do you have to be upset about? And that is totally discrediting our emotions. And if we are around people that do that, we're going to be taught to discredit our emotions when we're older. And this comes in the form of shoving emotions down or shaming yourself for feeling a specific emotion when it is not your fault. You're allowed to feel however you feel, right? And so neutralizing that and being like, it is totally fine to feel this way. I am a human being. There are so many people that would feel this way in this situation. Neutralizing that and knowing that it's okay to feel however you're feeling, that's also healing your inner child, because you're dealing with your emotions in a different way. That's all it is. Healing your inner child is just doing things in a different way that they didn't get to be before. That's all that it is. You're just reparenting your inner child. So before we get into the manifesting talk, so there's healing versus manifesting, and they really connect together. I want to share something that I went through a couple days ago. It's not anything crazy. It's about physical pain, and I think it works in the same way as emotional pain or emotional discomfort. So I was on a walk with my dog, uh, probably a week ago, maybe like a little. I walk with him every day, but this happened like a week ago or like 9 days ago or something. And I was walking, and I like either am like wearing sandals or I'm just barefoot. And we were walking, and I think I stepped on this huge stick that was like this wide. I think I stepped on that with my left foot, but then it like kind of propped it off the ground. And when I was walking with my other foot, the stick got stuck under my other foot, and then when I like took the step, it shoved this like huge sharp stick like into the bottom of my foot. It was like this weird, I don't even know if I'm explaining it well, but it like this like huge stick like got shoved into the bottom of my foot, and I had this like huge gash that was like bleeding on my walk, and it was such an immense amount of pain. And it was like so hard to take my mind away from the pain. But that's the issue. I was trying to take my mind away from the pain instead of letting me feel it, because all the pain is a sensation. There's nothing necessarily, the brain doesn't need to get involved with physical pain. That makes it worse if we give it false meanings instead of just allowing it to be a sensation in the body that we let pass through us, right? So like the whole walk home, I still have my foot wrapped up. I literally have had to like wash it and bandage it every day, and then I have it literally like wrapped up, and it's almost healed, but it's been like 9 days. That was a lot of pain. I was like walking back home, and I was like limping, and there was just like blood all over my foot, and it kind of took me out of the moment for a second. And I think that was a very powerful message for emotional pain as well, right? It can take us out of the beauty that there are in moments, even when we feel pain. You can be outside crying and super sad, and all of a sudden it could be raining and you see a rainbow, like anything. Magic can be present with pain. But that kind of took me out of my walk, and I started to walk home. and then it happened today again, but on the other foot, not the same situation, but we have these plants here. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're like really bright purple, but they have like tons of spikes on them. Well, when they dry out, they get they're like cactus spikes kind of thing. And I went at night, so I couldn't really see, but someone must have like walked on it or whatever, because it was completely flat on the ground. And I'm walking, and all of a sudden I feel this intense pain on my left foot now. And I look, and there's tons of like stickers like stuck into all the tops of my toes. Like, I don't know, let me see. Like you can see that I still have one of the spots where I had to pull out the the sticker thing. But this time I was like, it was kind of funny that it happened to me on both feet. Of course I had to make it even, right? But instead this time, I just allowed myself to feel it, and I kind of made a joke about it. And I told Gina, there's never a dull moment on our walks, is there? Never a dull moment. I know, it happened again. I was like, the universe had to make sure that it was even, and it wasn't just my right foot. So, all right. And instead of like just being in pain and like thinking about it or trying to avoid it or just immediately walking home, I kept going on my walk. My foot hurt really bad, and my toes are kind of numb right now. I'm sure that's fine. But I like had to pull these huge stickers out, these huge like needle things out of my foot on my walk. And I was just like, there's never a dull moment going on walks like with me and Gina. There's always something crazy that happens. And I totally felt the feeling, and it's kind of beautiful. Like, even physical pain is kind of cool when you think of it as like a physical sensation. That's all it is a sensation to the body. That's all that it is. We don't need to try to create meanings about it that make it more painful. Our mind can make situations more painful by how it thinks about it and how obsessive it thinks about it, right? Really, like physical pain, emotional pain, whatever. And if you guys have studied Wim Hof, he always talks about if you fight the cold, it's going to fight you back. in like a cold shower or an ice bath. The key to doing cold showers or an ice bath, they're fine. I can't even feel them. So yeah, we're all good. I just thought it was funny that it happened in like this almost the same area too. So it honestly made me laugh. But so the key to like doing like ice baths and like cold showers, for example, is to surrender to the cold, but not be in your head of like, oh my God, this is so cold. Oh my God, I can't stand it. I'm gonna freeze to death. I'm gonna get frostbite. Because you're safe, in like a cold shower. I take cold showers all the time. And this is a way to reset your nervous system, to start to work with anxiety, to reduce inflammation in the body. There's been tons of studies on this. Of course, be safe with it. Don't just like jump into an ice lake or something if you don't, you know what I'm saying. Think first before you do certain things and situations. But with like ice, cold therapy and stuff, the key is to focusing on your breath, seeing the cold as a sensation to the body. That's all that it is. And when you can feel it as a sensation, it's just energy in the body. Then your mind is separated from the experience and it's not so focused on trying to create pain, and it allows it to pass through. And so I did that on my walk. I was walking back and my foot was bleeding. and I just looking up at the sky, and it was so beautiful. And I actually created a short out there for you guys because I was like, I'm just gonna create like a little 1-minute video out here. And that was right after I got the gash in my foot, the short that I'm gonna post. And I was just like so in the moment. I was like, this is so beautiful. There's so many, I heard like frogs and crickets, and there was bats flying everywhere, and the sun was going down, and all of a sudden, the pain went away. Whoa. Yeah, the pain just started to go away. Because I didn't let it take the magic out of this moment, and I totally felt it, and it was just a sensation that was passing through me. And it's like that with physical pain. It's like that with emotional pain. We can be present without putting all these narratives on it. And I just let it pass through me. And before I got home, it really wasn't hurting. And that really was like a spiritual teaching for myself with like physical pain / emotional pain. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But there's definitely some cool places here in the winter, because all the lakes freeze over and it's really beautiful. I heard that all the leaves are starting to turn different colors, so that's really cool. I need to get a longboarding buddy though, because I want to go boarding before it snows, and I haven't been boarding in so long, and that was like my favorite thing. I love longboarding, especially around here. It's really cool. Oh, really? Yeah. There's not too much that I like to do in the winter outside. I don't really like cold a lot. But one thing I do love is the night skies during the winter. So I spend a lot of time still outside, just like, normal shit, just talking to the moon, singing to the stars, hugging every tree that I see. The typical stuff. Yeah. So, pain. Physical pain. Let's start. Let's get back to. That was pretty much all that I had to say about physical pain. It's the same with emotional pain. Allowing it to fully, just allowing it to fully pass through. And this allows us to expand our capacity to receive. So, again, healing is just noticing how you're feeling and what's triggering you in the moment, and getting curious. Discovering what thoughts are creating that feeling, and if it's actually true. Play the devil's advocate with your thought. But what if this was true instead? That's just an opinion. That's literally just a perception. What if this was true? And now all of a sudden your brain has more information. You're like, oh yeah, that totally could be true. And all of a sudden you change your feelings, because now you've changed your thoughts that are connected to those feelings. This is the key, guys. This is something that will really help me. And again, circumstances, how things are, your thoughts are going to create some sort of interpretation of what that means. And whatever your thoughts are, that creates a feeling in your body. And that feeling will create your actions or inactions. And those actions get you your results. So really, your results stem from the way that you think about things. And if you change the way you think about things, you're going to change the way you feel about them, which changes the way you act on those things. How cool? How cool is that? And once you start to just practice becoming aware of your thoughts, you can actively change it. Like, I'm sure we tell ourselves so many things throughout the day that like aren't even true. And we suffer over things that we really don't need to suffer over. And this is something that's been really powerful in my mastermind. It's really about creating a radical shift in your life. And before we do that, we have to get clarity on our desires. We have to notice what thoughts come up when we think about our desires or our goals. And then we want to start getting present with our feelings and learning to fully feel a feeling. And then we find ways to take aligned action in a way that feels good. And again, if you change your feelings, you're going to naturally notice a shift in your actions. So there's this formula that we follow in my mastermind. I'm real into tree touching these days. You know, me too. I'm all up in that for sure. Trees are my best friends. And I still will find dandelions and I will make a wish. And like all the time, at least like 5 times a week. I'm that person. I will literally sit and just like talk to the sky. But it seems like it responds. I don't know if you guys saw my post the other day when I really wanted to see a shooting star. And I like sang to the sky because I thought it was going to help me see a shooting star. And right as I was singing the last note, right before I sang it, it was like, you know, that dramatic like last note to a song. Right before I said that, whew, shooting star across the sky. It's pretty cool. I definitely, you know, it's really cool to just be in the magic of all that is, because then everything starts to become magical, you know. But that's kind of how we will heal, do healing work. Again, you don't have to dig up your ancestry and like do all this crazy stuff. You just deal with what's happening now, because if something's an issue, you're going to experience it in the moment, right? Or as an adult, if something really is a huge issue that you went through when you were a child, you're going to see some sort of pattern regarding that in your adult life, and that shows you that you need to work on it. If it's something that recurs, an emotion, a thought, a situation, that shows you there's a pattern. So if you notice a certain thought, a certain situation, or a certain emotion that recurs, that's what shows you there's a pattern that needs to be broken. Yeah, you know what's cool? You've never seen a shooting star before? Oh my God. I'm looking into getting a telescope because I've always wanted a telescope and I've never had one. And I'm really excited to move to Washington because I'll actually be able to see the stars. You can see them here. It's just you have to go somewhere up higher because all the pollution we live in like a mountain bowl. And so like tons of pollution just kind of like sits on top and it makes it so you can't really see stars. So I'm excited to move. Yeah, light pollution. Yep. Now, that was the healing chat. But now when it comes to manifesting, all you need to look at is your ideal self. Getting clarity on that ideal version of yourself. Where do you want to be? What's your end goal? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be a musician? Do you want to, own a coaching business? Do you want to start a YouTube channel? Do you want to be like a travel vlogger? I don't know. You could be anything. You really can be anything. I will never tell you there's something that you can't be, because I feel like there's always a way. There is always a way in some capacity. But that's the first thing to manifesting. It's very hard for us to create the life we want if we don't have clarity on what that looks like. So, and again, these don't have to be separate. To do your healing, you just work with what you're thinking and feeling as it comes up. That's your only job. Now, with manifesting, you're going to be modeling that version of yourself that you desire to be. So, for example, my Washington self, that's exactly what I call her, because that's who I want to be, right? That's where I feel like I'll be living my most, fulfilled, playful life. You guys are going to get some badass content, by the way, when I'm in Washington. Hope you all are ready, because some crazy stuff is going to be happening when I'm out there. Really. And I've got some surprises, too, about that. Anyway, so you want to really get comfortable and clear on what that version of yourself looks like. How does that, you know how we just talked about the 3 main emotions that you have felt in the past 90 days? Do that with your ideal self. What are the 3 main emotions your ideal version of yourself feels? Now, what are the thoughts that they tell themselves on a day-to-day basis? What certain habits does that ideal version of yourself have that maybe you haven't implemented in your current state? Really, you're just using your ideal self as a model. And that's something that Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich talks about. And this is also something that Neville Goddard talks about, living in the end of your desires fulfilled in consciousness. So what would the end of your desire being fulfilled look like? And this is you already being in your ideal circumstance. If that was happening in the present moment right now, yeah, oh, I'm gonna be posting so much stuff, and I just have so many things planned for you guys / with you guys for Washington. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be very rad. But that's all you want to do is just model that. So you're caring for your inner child by caring for yourself in the moment. And as you're doing that, you're modeling what this version of you does in your most ideal reality. This is a way where we can heal and manifest at the same time. It doesn't have to be something scary. And like I said at the beginning of this chat, learning something and finding a way to express energy. So we're taking in energy by learning something new, studying, and then we're finding a way to express that through creativity, teaching, whatever it is. So there's a constant flow of in and out, ebb and flow, right? That is the same way for healing and manifesting. You're healing as things come up and learning to be present for yourself when you need yourself, but also having that model of who you desire to be and creating little micro commitments and micro habits that you can implement that make you feel closer to that version of yourself until you look back and you realize, holy, what? All these little micro commitments, all these little shifts, just becoming conscious of how I feel and what I'm thinking in the moment. Now I look back and I realize I am that ideal self. Be the version of you that little you would be proud of. And that's something that really touches home for me, because as a child, I was a very dreamy child. I guess I still believe in everything. Like every bit of folklore and like all of these like mystical creatures and stuff, I believe exist on some plane of existence, because energy cannot be created nor destroyed, which means we can't come up with our own thoughts and ideas. We tap into them. So someone tapped in to the reality of dragons and fairies and all this stuff. So I believe that all these different things, we're like pulling in multidimensional creatures through our mind, thinking that we just made it up, but really we're tapping into a higher state of consciousness that has allowed us to bring those ideas into this reality. So I believe that everything exists. And yes, me too. And I was always outside. I was always like, just like role playing. I don't understand. I lived in a fantasy world, but it also made sense because that was also my way to avoid kind of the trauma I was going through. But I've always been a very dreamy, kind of mystical kid, or like into all that stuff. If my inner child met me as me, knowing that I made a business out of dreaming and astral projection and creativity, and I really wanted my business to be a way where we can all inspire each other and all make our dreams come true and all heal and dream lucidly and just like create this empire of dreamers that can change the world. That's like my big vision. And to see where I am, like already, like sometimes it's hard for me to really think that I've gotten as far as I feel I have. You know, I've really changed the person that I was over time. And to see my inner child, just imagining my inner child just like light up, hearing about the dream work I do and stuff, like that's so cool to me. She would be so happy and so proud and so like in awe that that was even possible. That's what we want to do. We want to live the life that our little us would be proud of. And every time that you feel something in the moment, know that your inner child is feeling that with you. Anytime you feel sad, what would you do to care for whoa, sorry about that. What would you do to care for your inner child in the moment? So if you feel sad, how would you care for a child that's feeling sad? If you feel unsafe or anxious, how would you care for a child that's feeling unsafe or anxious? You really just have to have that level of grace with yourself. And you will create more trust with yourself. And the more trust and awareness you create with how you're feeling and what you're going through, your body and your psyche is going to trust you, and there's going to be other stuff come up, but it's because you now have the awareness to deal with it, to heal it, and to release it. The biggest thing with healing is to fully feel and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling in a safe space. And sometimes that's all that's needed. Sometimes you just need to feel like you can feel what you're feeling, right? But if it's something that's reoccurring, there's a pattern. So again, everything ties back to a thought. If you're not getting the results you want, look at the actions you're taking, the feelings that are creating those actions, and the thought that's tied to that feeling. And if you want to know more about that, just type in the CTFAR model, and you'll be able to see that breakdown. And that's really, really what it is about, is just that awareness and having that grace for yourself. And to start to reprogram your brain, anytime you feel shame, replace it with something to celebrate about. So let's say that I'm feeling shame because maybe I didn't get 5 videos done today. Okay, well, to replace that shame, to start reprogramming my brain, I'm going to find something in that I can celebrate myself today for. Well, I made 1 video, and that is sick, because I have to script the videos, I have to record the videos, I have to edit the videos, I have to put the videos together, and then I launch the video. So there's a lot of steps to just 1 video, and I did it. I made an incredible video, and I'm so proud of myself. See how we can start to change that narrative with ourselves? Anytime you notice yourself shaming yourself for something, find something in that exact thing to celebrate yourself for. And you will notice that you will have more inspiration, you will feel more motivated, you will have more energy, and you will feel supported by yourself more than anybody else. You do not need anybody else's approval. You need you. You are stuck with you. You have always been there for yourself, right? Even when it's been difficult, even when you didn't want to be. Your heart is beating, you are breathing, and you got up today. And you're sitting here with me right now, having this chat, and I'm so proud of you for how far you've come. I mean, look how many years you have been alive on planet Earth, and you are still here. You are still working on yourself. That is something to be proud of, because some people don't feel that they have the strength to change their life, that they don't have the strength to make their dreams come true or to feel their emotions. And look how far you have come. That is something to be celebrated about. And I'm so proud of you. And I want you to look in the mirror today and tell yourself that you are proud of you. And if you've heard of Mel Robbins, she has something called the high five habit, which is literally high-fiving yourself in the mirror every single day and saying something good about yourself. And I love this. It might feel a little silly the first time you do it, but I love this because it affects your brain in the same way as if someone else high-fived you and said something positive about you. Again, your brain can't tell the difference. When you're high-fiving yourself in the mirror, your brain thinks that someone just high-fived you and said, like, hell yeah, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. If you do this and you actually allow yourself to fully be seen by yourself, you will feel so energized, you will feel so supported and so loved, because you know that you'll always have your back and you won't let anybody hurt you like the people who have hurt you in your life. You will never let someone hurt you again. And this is where those precious boundaries come in, because for some people it's hard to set boundaries, right? But you are protecting your little you. And if you see yourself like that, you know, a vulnerable, sensitive child that needs you, you're not going to let anyone push you around, because you know that your inner child has been through enough, and there is no way you're going to let anyone further damage you, because it doesn't need to happen anymore. You now have a space to feel what you need to feel, and now you are in control of how your life goes. You are reparenting yourself, and you can do that any way you damn please. Whatever you need. If you want to take yourself out to go get some ice cream, and you want to take the rest of the day off, and you want to cuddle in bed with your favorite fuzzy blanket and just watch some cartoons, hell yes, you better do that. Give yourself more space, almost more space than you're comfortable with. And I've done that even with like my work. I've allowed myself to have more time to myself, to be more creative, and to have off days where I give myself permission to not really do anything. And because I give myself that permission to feel whatever I feel in the moment, even if that means I don't feel like doing anything, okay, that's fine. We're not going to do anything. We're going to sit here. We're going to be comfortable. Yeah. And we're just going to see how we feel in a little bit. And again, your thoughts can deceive you because your thoughts are interpretations of facts, but your feelings, that's directly connected to your intuition. And even if it's a trigger, even if you feel angry, that is your intuition saying there is something in here that doesn't feel good, that needs to be processed, and to make sure it doesn't get suppressed and to make sure it doesn't recur, feel what you're feeling in the moment, identify the emotion, scan your body to see where that emotion is sitting, and invite it to tell you what it needs to tell you. Your body's extremely intelligent. If you just ask, what are you trying to tell me? You'll get an answer. I promise you, you will get an answer. And a lot of people don't think that they can identify qualities of their emotions, like, is it hot or cold? What color is it? Where is it in the body? Does it move around or is it stationary? You will get an answer, boom, the moment you ask, and you will know. And the more intuition you can build with your body, the more awareness you can build with your body, the more you'll naturally increase your intuition. So the more you are aware of how you feel and you identify how you feel and you ask it some questions, when something's off or something's not for you, or there's an opportunity that really isn't for you, or a person that's coming into your life that really isn't for you, you've created so much trust in your body. Now you're going to feel emotions more strongly that really lead you in an intuitive way. So by feeling what you're feeling in the moment will really allow you to guide yourself through life a lot easier without feeling stuck. And again, if you feel stuck somewhere in life, it's because there's lack of clarity. So where do you need to build more clarity? That's all that it is. It's a game. It's a game. It's just a game of figuring out how you work, what your desires are, how you feel. It's just a game of figuring out who this human is that we're pretending to be. Because again, we are a soul in a human body. And we are all just getting to know ourselves along this journey of life, right? So we're just learning how we think, how we feel, what our desires are, what our gifts, skills, talents, and abilities are. It's fun. You're getting to discover this human being that you're playing as for this lifetime. You won't carry this human being with you. So enjoy every single moment that you can and really know that you are just as you need to be. There is nothing outside of you that you need to seek. It's more about releasing and allowing and surrendering to all that is. And there's magic in every single moment. I promise you. So I hope that this helped you. Again, I apologize that it's a little bit late, but I'm glad that I got to go live and kind of chat with you guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And if you experiment with this, if you explore this and, you know, how it feels to do this. I just released a new sleep track on my second channel, the Lucid Mystic Sleep Music. So if you are looking for some nice, dreamy, spacey, ambient, cool, chill music to fall asleep to tonight, definitely head over there. It's pinned in my channel somewhere. It's just under the Lucid Mystic Sleep Music. I'm sure that you will find it. I post about it a lot on this channel. Also, for those of you who don't know, I haven't watched The Twilight Zone for literally ever, but I do know of it. I do have a Patreon if you're looking for early access to content and exclusive content that isn't available for everybody. I also do have some YouTube memberships as well on both channels. The second channel is mostly just for support. If you like the music I create, no pressure ever with any of this. And then this channel, I just got my memberships back as well. So I will be starting to create exclusive members only content as well. I have a whole library on here of members content that you'll see if you become a member, but Patreon gets similar benefits. There's just a few different perks. Like Patreon has its own Facebook group where I post like meditations. We do monthly breath work. So there's a few differences in the memberships, but if you have questions, just let me know. And of course, I create online classes, courses, and I do one-on-one mentorships. So if you ever want to chat with me and see if I can help you or support you in some way, please let me know. Again, please join the Telegram group. If you want to connect to the community, you can connect through the Telegram group, or you can connect in my Haylee Lynn's Lucid Dream Team group on Facebook, and you can share your experiences, get support, and celebrate each other. So I love you guys. I will see you next Monday. And as always, I'm sending you endless love and endless lucidity.